Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome into the Big Friday Kickoff podcast. I'm your sports director, Emily Cochran. Joining me is our digital producer and my co-host, Robert Ristaneo. Robert, this is episode 4.
Yep.
We're headed into week 4. I can't believe this is like the first month of high school football. It's kind of flying by.
Yeah, and last week was kind of fun, right? Because we had some teams get into some region action. We obviously covered a big 7A game.
Huge.
Yes, and there were some big 6A games. So I think we got a lot to talk about this week. Obviously, college football kicked off. We had NFL kickoff. Fantasy not go our ways this week.
No.
Either of us.
Not at all.
But
Devastated.
we can get into that in a little bit. Let's just sort of briefly go through some of the highlights that we thought we had in week 3.
Yeah, I think we need to start with MGM at Daphne, where we went for Big Friday Kickoff. I thought we had a great time out there, number one. Daphne always puts on a show. Jubilee Stadium is one of the top places to play in our state, I believe. Getting to sit down with Kenny King and just be with the band and the cheerleaders. We had 4 players on set at one time, which
Yep.
we've never had that many players on set that we've had the opportunity to interview.
Right.
So a really big week for Big Friday Kickoff. We had a blast out there for that huge 7A matchup. Now let's talk a little bit about this game. We knew this was going to be a very important matchup going into it. We knew it was probably going to be close. I think that MGM came out the gate pretty hot. We kind of thought they were going to run away with it, but I think Daphne hung in there.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
majority of the game, they hung in there. I don't think we ever really thought, okay, Daphne's out of this one. This was one of the only games that went as late into the night as it did. I mean, we didn't have a final score when we went on, and
Yep.
we went on a little bit late. So I think this was an interesting one. I think it definitely proved that these are 2 of the top teams in 7A Region 1.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think even if you just sort of look at some of the stats coming out of this game, MGM kind of controlled the game from the ground. Cameron Smith, over 100 yards and touchdown. He's the top rusher in 7A right now. They've really leaned on him for the early part of this season. And Jaquinian Allen, he had an incredible punt return. He was catching passes, running the ball. And Daphne could never really match that momentum on the ground. I mean, they averaged, I think, 3 yards a carry for 70 yards. Christian Seeger had a good game, just under 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. I think Daphne will be able to throw the ball this year. They've got some talented receivers and, CJ Gardner. But the rushing attack and that MGM front 7 really gave Daphne problems in this game. And yet they still put up 31 points, and it still required MGM to outscore the Trojans. So I think if you're Daphne, you feel good about it because I don't think you gave a complete offensive performance and yet still managed to put up 31 points against a very good 7A defense, maybe one of the best in the state. So,
Yeah.
I think if you're the Trojans and Kenny King, you feel good going forward.
Yeah, the final in that one, just 41-31, very different than the final last year. Last season, it was 21-8. So, very different game, 2 very different teams this season, but still 2 of the top teams in 7A Region 1 this week. Daphne's going to be hosting Foley. MGM heads to Robertsdale. MGM still undefeated. Daphne going into that one 2-1. So, I mean, I really think if you're Daphne coming out of this game, kind of like you said, you can't be disappointed with the way that they played. I think you take that, learn from it, grow from it, and you're going to continue to roll on through Region 1 this season. I think the only other team that's going to give them real problems, real competition is Baker.
Yeah, I think both these teams and how they play against Baker obviously will determine
1, 2, and 3.
1,
Seeding.
2, and 3. Yeah, I mean that 4th spot, we'll see what happens, but yeah, both these teams still need to play Baker, so depending on how that shakes out, we'll see. But this was kind of domino number 1 and the sort of dominoes that need to fall to kind of determine the playoff seeding at the end of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about a really big game in 7A. We got to talk about these 2 big games in 6A. Our game of the week was McGill-Tulin at Theodore. We had one of our former player of the weeks, Ken Abel. I mean, he just really showed out. Theodore, I mean, just really showed out this season, or in this game.
Yeah, this is Theodore. It seems like the last 2 weeks has kind of won by just running the freaking ball. I mean, and that is how they like to play. They like to shove you around. They're big. They're physical. And Knable's talented. I mean, he's top 5 in 6A right now in rushing. And their defense held up. You know, McGill Tulin only averaged 4.7 yards of pass play, only 3.4 rush play. Like, they really could not get the ball moving at all in this one. And so, you know, that will give you a final something like 27-10, which I think is what this one ended up being.
Yep. I think that, and we've talked about this, I think Theodore really has just kind of come into their own. They're looking like that team that we talked about, we expected them to be.
Right.
I think that they look really, really good. I think after dropping their season opener to Baker, they've just been rolling.
Yes.
You know, I mean, they beating Spanish Fort, beating McGill Tulin this week. I mean, it's just, they look really, really good. And I know after the game, Steve Mask, we got a soundbite from him. He spoke very highly of Kendrick Abel, who we just spoke about, saying that he's one of the best in the state. And each week he continues to show us that every time he takes the field on Friday nights. So, I mean, I think Kendrick Abel has the potential. He could be a Player of the Year candidate if he keeps playing how he's playing. I mean, just looks really, really good. And of course, J.J. Bush always does well. Committed to Arkansas, you know. So Theodore has a lot of weapons. We're finally starting to see those weapons shine.
Yeah, and I think 6A, you know, there's still a lot more football left to be played.
Absolutely.
In there, because there's always, we talk about it every week, but, you know, the handful of teams that have playoff aspirations. But I think as of right now, if you just had to say through 3 weeks, what would be your summary of 6A? I think it's Saraland and Theodore are those top 2 right now. And then
absolutely, I agree.
However 3 and 4 shake out, you know, we'll see. But
speaking of Saraland, we need to talk about their game with Gulf Shores. I've been pretty high on Gulf Shores. I've just been saying how difficult their schedule has been. Give them a little grace, cut them a little slack, give them the benefit of the doubt. But the final in this one was 43-14, and Saraland looks really good in this game against Gulf Shores. The Dolphins just could not keep up with them. Saraland's now 3-0, Gulf Shores 0-3, but I still do think Gulf Shores has had a really tough schedule. I mean, you're opening up your season with Choctawhatchee, MGM, and then Saraland. And it doesn't get any easier from here.
No.
They still have to play St. Paul's. They still have to play Spanish Fort. They still have to play McGill Tulin, who I believe they're playing this week. I mean, they're going through the gauntlet when it comes to their schedule. But, I mean, we're not cutting anybody else slack for the schedule they're having to play in 6A. So, I don't know. I'm a little worried about Gulf Shores, especially how they looked in this game. And then on the flip side, Saraland, I mean, I've been a little tough on them early in the season because their schedule has not been as hard.
Right.
Besides playing Jackson, but playing a Jackson without E.J. Crowell.
Sure.
But Saraland in this game, our player of the week came out of this one. Jameson Roberts just looked so good. I think he had 349 all-purpose yards, threw for 3 touchdowns, ran for 2 more. I mean, has really just kind of come into his own. That was their first game at home this season, and we know what it's like. We've seen Spartan Stadium on Friday nights. It that atmosphere can compete with the Hill at Spanish Fort. So, I mean, I just think this was a really, really good matchup to kind of let us see, okay, Saraland is continuing to prove that they're one of the top, if not the top team in 6A, and Gulf Shores were still a lot of question marks.
Yeah, you know, this is exactly what happened to Gulf Shores last year. They started 0-3 against the same 3 opponents, and finished 4-3 down the stretch to kind of give themselves a shot at the playoffs. But ultimately, they ended up missing out. You know, it's funny because if you look at some of the numbers from this game, nobody on Gulf Shores really popped in the way that someone like a Colin Wilson or a Ronnie Royal does in the past. You know what I mean? Travaris Johnson, he was good. He had 97 rushing yards on I think like 8 or 9 carries, something like that. As a team, 148 rushing yards, 4.5 yards a carry. That's fine. You know, Judd Harris and Major Hudspeth, it looks like, both took snaps at quarterback. Major was a little bit more efficient than Judd, but Judd had two passing touchdowns. I just don't know. I think Gulf Shores is physical. I think their defense can be really good. I just don't know if they have the explosiveness on offense to really keep up with somebody like a Saraland. Now, I think them versus Theodore is going to be an interesting matchup because I think these are two teams that are physical and can grind you down. But, come playoff time, you're going to run into kind of the go offenses like Saraland, and you got to be able to play against those teams as well and put up enough points to be able to be competitive in those games. And I think Theodore is much closer to having that than Gulf Shores is right now. So I don't know. We'll see with Gulf Shores,
Yeah, they're going to be taking on McGill-Tulin this week, I believe, is their next opponent. So that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Saraland and Spanish Fort go head-to-head in 6A at Spanish Fort. I think that's also going to be a very good game. Saraland pretty much dominated Spanish Fort last season. I think the final in that one was 42-17. So hopefully that game's going to look a little bit different this season. It's Aiden Schamberger is a very experienced quarterback at Spanish Fort, and then you have Jamison Roberts in his first year, leading that charge on offense for the Spartans. So I think that is going to be an interesting one. Deshaun Spencer, out wide receiver, just looks so good.
Oh yeah.
He's popping in the highlights. Every highlight it's him making a catch.
Right.
Or he looks really, really good. So. This week's going to be interesting. We got to keep an eye on Gulf Shores and McGill-Tulin, and then Saraland and Spanish Fort. So now let's move on to Excel at Flomaton.
Yeah, you want me to take the floor here?
You take the floor.
Okay.
You break this one down for me.
Well, we don't have to go into too much detail with these games. I wanted to give a shout out to three schools that I thought were pretty impressive this week that are not the big 6A, 7A schools that we usually talk about. Flomaton is a team I've been on all year, and this past week they beat Excel. They're going 3-0 into this matchup with TR Miller. It's now a top 10 game. Flomaton cracked the top 10 in 3A. Mm-hmm. So, and to be honest, I think they're going to win this TR Miller game. I think Flomaton has been so good early on through 3 weeks, and this is kind of their, real big test. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Hurricanes. I think they're playing great so far. Marengo, 68-0 over Fruitdale. That's one of the most impressive scores that I feel like I've seen in a while, again, between two teams that I felt like we're kind of equals. I didn't think that there was that big of a discrepancy between the two teams. But anyway, shout out to the Panthers because that was a massive win. And then, the last one I guess we need to mention, WS Neal St. Michael. I said all week that I thought WS Neal was going to win this game. Mm-hmm. They were up 21-20 at half.
They were.
Surprised a lot of people.
You definitely surprised me.
Yes.
I will give you credit. I think that you were right about their ability and the talent that they have.
Yes.
Was I right in the fact that they cannot keep up with St. Michael? Yes.
And ultimately, it seems like that's kind of what ended up happening. They lost 43-29,
But this one went, it was pretty back and forth, and it stayed close until the very end. 43-29, if I'm WS Neal going up against one of the best offenses in 4A,
yeah,
I'm not disappointed with that performance.
Right.
I think WS Neal is for sure a shoe-in for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think St. Michael, Jackson, WS Neal, I don't know who that fourth spot's going to be, but...
Yeah, and, St. Michael got the only fourth quarter touchdown between the two teams. Got the 2 point to put them over the top, but... Shout out to the Eagles, shout out to the Panthers, shout out to the Hurricanes. I think those were all big wins. And, one other one, I thought I had it here in our notes, but, Millery, shout out to Shane Hendry and Millery because they beat Sweetwater 25-12. Sweetwater joined this class, joined this Region 1 last season with the realignment. Mm-hmm. And last year it was Leroy Sweetwater Milry. This year was going to be the exact same way. Who was going to come out on top between those three teams, and Milry taking care of Sweetwater while Leroy looks like this dominant 1A team. That was a big region standing win that Milry got. Probably one of the bigger ones out of anyone in Region 1 this week. So shout out to Milry. That was a big win for them.
Yeah. Another thing I want to mention, St. Michael's playing Satsuma this week, which should be another win, but we also have W.S. Neal taking on Orange Beach. And I think that game could be pretty good. Orange Beach beat 5A Citronelle the week before last, but then Bayside Academy beat the Makos 42-13 this past week. So I don't know what to make of Orange Beach now. I think that's an interesting final score. Bayside Academy being in 3A, but we know that Bayside Academy is a very good 3A team. But with the way that Orange Beach looked against Citronelle, I'm going to be interested to see this game this week. I think it could get really good between W.S. Neal and Orange Beach. I think W.S. Neal probably walks away with it.
Sure,
but I think it could be a good game. I don't want to speak too soon. Well, let's move right along to this week.
Okay.
This is I've been calling this our 5A feature week because our Big Friday Kickoff game and our game of the week are both 5A games. We've been doing a lot of 6A, a lot of 7A. This week's a big week for 5A. And up first, we have our Big Friday Kickoff game between Williamson and Citronelle. We're going to be going out to Citronelle. It's our first time the Big Friday Kickoff crew has gone up to Citronelle. And I'm really excited for this. Citronelle is one of my favorite stops, favorite places to go.
Yeah, this these were the 4 playoff teams out of this region last year, right? Citronelle, Williamson, Viger, UMS. There's a chance these could be the 4 playoff teams again, down here in this region. I'm a little more skeptical about Citronelle this season. I just think that they lost some really talented players on offense and some key pieces on defense that they're still trying to replace. But, it's at home. This game last year, Citronelle barely lost this. I think it was in overtime, 28-26. But Williamson looks really, really good right now,
Yeah, they do. Also, Williamson has, so far they've played, I think, Wayne County in week 1 and then Alberta in week 2. So,
True.
I think Citronelle is going to be a little bit more of a test for them. But as we know from last season, Williamson puts up a ton of points on offense, and they don't, their defense, basically, they got you on lock.
They have 2 of the best defenders in the state with Ellis McGaskin and Jalen Scott, so.
100%. 100%. So, I actually went out to the Williamson-Alberta game, and the final score in that one was 64-9?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
That is wild.
Well, but then, you look on the flip side, though, and Faith Academy gave Citronelle everything that they wanted, for over a half.
And we didn't even think that Faith Academy would be a team that would even really be competing.
I'm still not sure they are.
So, it is concerning to see how Citronelle played against Faith Academy. I'm concerned with the way Citronelle played against Orange Beach.
Right.
Orange Beach getting the win over Citronelle, and I'm concerned because I'm really big on Citronelle. I love going up there. I love Jason Rowell. We're going to get to sit down with him and have an interview with him during the show at 5. And he's going into his second year. He's a Citronelle guy, played football at Citronelle, and we talked about the same thing with Kenny King last week. When you're the head coach of your alma mater, I have to believe that there's a little more investment there because you've played there.
Right.
You're leaving a legacy as more than just a player. You're leaving a legacy as a head coach, and you can't deny what he's done in his time there. Citronelle, because we know how it is with the transfer portal in high school right now, quote unquote. Kids are moving around. They're trying to go where the better programs are, and they're going to, shine in these other programs, but since Jason Rowell's been here, Citronelle players are staying in Citronelle. They want to play for their city and for their home, and I think that speaks a lot to what Jason Rowell's been able to do there. I think the program's been on the steady incline. There's been more college programs coming and visiting, and kids are getting more offers. They're getting to move on and play at the next level, more so in the last 2 years than they have done in a while. And had a playoff run last season. When was it 2019 was the last time they'd gone to the playoffs before this?
Yes, I believe so. And I think 9 games was the most they'd won since 2004.
I was going to say, I think it was 04.
Yeah.
So, I mean, last season was a historic season for Citronelle, but like we've talked about, there's been a lot of turnover, a lot of different pieces in different positions, and we just have to see how are the next guy up mentality, how are these next guys going to step up and see if they can fill those roles. This is going to be a hard game for Citronelle. Williamson, we've talked about it, a very good team. Like you said, one of the top teams in the state. And not just in Region 1, but in the state.
Mm-hmm.
And so Williamson's going to give Citronelle everything they've got. And Citronelle's got the home field advantage. Cities like Citronelle, I mean, the city shuts down on Friday nights and goes out to these games. It's just like it was when we went to Clark County.
Yep.
We've talked about Flomaton in the same way. So, I mean, I think this is going to be a really big game for the Wildcats and the Lions on Friday night.
Yeah, and like you said, that's going to be our big Friday kickoff spot. I think we've got something kind of fun planned for that, hopefully, if
we do.
If we're able to do it.
I mean, I'm excited. So also another fun fact, the offensive coordinator at Citronelle is he was the head coach of my football team when I was at Gaucher High School.
Yep.
Chris Peterson. Shout out to him, Coach Peterson.
Go.
He's the offensive coordinator there. And we went up there, Hayden and I, our photographer, went up with me 2 years ago now. I was doing a story they had 2 guys at playing quarterback for them that season, and they were best friends, and it was just a really cool story. And I asked Coach, we'd never really been up there before, and I was like, okay, where do we need, we want to eat while we're here, where should we go? Because, like small towns, you're going to find a good hole-in-the-wall spot.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing to do when I go visit somewhere is try a good hole-in-the-wall spot that is special to that community. And he was like, oh, you got to go to this place right over by the stadium called Grill Billy's. They have the best ribs to die for. And I was like, okay, whatever. Robert, I talk about these ribs. This is 2 years ago. I still talk about these ribs.
Right.
I've never had better ribs than what I had at Grill Billy's. They were so good that me and Hayden sat there and we ate them. I bought another rack and brought back for y'all at the station.
I remember.
For y'all to try.
Yep.
I mean, I dream about these ribs. So hopefully during the 5:30 hit, me and Nicholas Herboso are going to get us a rack of ribs and eat ribs during our very last hit.
Yeah, just eat them on live TV. We're going to get Emily and Nick with barbecue sauce all over their face.
I'm nervous. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited to eat the ribs.
Yeah, it'll be fun. The only other thing I think to say about this game, Citronelle last week during Faith, only 51 rushing yards, that's just over 2 yards a carry. They've got to figure out a way to move the ball on offense because if they struggled that bad against Faith Academy, Williamson's bringing something a little bit different than Faith.
I was definitely raising my eyebrows at that game. That is a concern.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be an interesting one. We'll see if Citronelle can keep up with that Williamson offense and compete with that defense that doesn't allow pretty much anyone to score.
No.
You're really not getting into the end zone. It's very rare. So that's one of our big 5A matchups this week. We've got another big one, Viger at UMS.
Yes.
Now, I'm really looking forward to this one. I think Viger's the number 1 team in the state in Class 5A right now. And then UMS, obviously, under new leadership, head coach Sam Williams, after Terry Curtis retired during the offseason. I think we were all kind of wondering, what is UMS going to look like with this new offense, this chaos on grass? We've talked about it. And I think that the only loss that UMS has this season is the season opener to St. Paul's, and that game was 29-28. And it went into overtime. So, I mean, Viger, of course, we know Viger looks just as good as they did last season. They got a lot of weapons on both sides of the ball. First-year head coach Michael Perry. So it's 2 first-year head coaches going head-to-head against one another. Renardo Jackson.
Yes.
Yeah, Michael Perry's now at LaFleur.
Yes, LaFleur.
So they swapped. Yes, sorry. Apologies. Yes, so 2 first-year head coaches going head-to-head.
It's been a long day.
Today has been a day like no other.
Yes.
So, yes, I think this is going to be a really good matchup. Talk to me a little bit about Max Fowler, their quarterback.
Yeah, so
UMS.
This was a kid last year who, struggled quite a bit at times with the UMS offense. I think he finished the year with 4 passing touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Right now he's 5th in passing in 5A, and it looks like Sam Williams has completely turned this kid around from whatever he was last year. Granted, he was younger. He's obviously going to get better. He always had the talent.
I agree.
But, this past week, 161 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, ran the ball for 47 yards, got 2 scores rushing. They played 6A St. Paul's, who figures to have one of the better defenses in 6A, put up 28 points against them. Then they go LaFleur and BC Rain, where they score 43 and 39 respectively. This looks different than the typical UMS team that's going to grind you down and win low-score games. This chaos on grass, I think, is what he told you it was called.
It's working.
It's working.
It really is. I mean, I think that you're keeping defenses on their toes. You're moving fast. And in high school, I don't think it's just a very different style of play than how Terry Curtis was doing things. Historically, how we've seen Terry Curtis teams where you have the guy over, you put that, as Kip says it, you put, put your arm over his shoulder and you tell him to play and he runs back out there. This is just, it's complete opposite of that. And it really seems to be working for them. Good for UMS, because I think that there's a standard at UMS. And I mean, with the legacy that Terry Curtis left, Sam Williams has come in and it looks really, really good. I've always said that it was kind of a situation like, Nick Saban, Kalen DeBoer.
Yep.
And as we can see with Alabama right now, the whole Kalen DeBoer situation isn't looking great. You don't want to be the guy that comes in after the Nick Saban. And I think the same could have been said for Sam Williams. It's tough being the guy behind Terry Curtis. It's still early in the season, but from what I've seen so far, looks pretty good. I think but Viger is going to be their biggest test of the season, no doubt about it.
No doubt. But, St. Paul's was a pretty good test, but I do think, you're right, Viger, number one
within
team
the region,
yes,
that's going to have playoff implications.
Oh, no doubt, and Viger is probably better than UMS.
Yes,
or Viger is probably better than St. Paul's. You know what I mean? Just as a team.
Yes, based on talent on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, for sure. So no, this is definitely their biggest test. I think UMS is putting up the points to be able to hang in there with Viger. The last few years, it's been whether UMS can slow Viger down enough to keep the game competitive. I think UMS will be able to put enough points up on the board to kind of run with them, because their last 2 games against Tuscaloosa Academy and LaFleur, or Tuscaloosa County and LaFleur, Viger's put up 61 and 50. So this team can put up a lot of points too. So it'll be interesting. This may be a shootout, over at UMS this Friday night. So we'll definitely have to. I
think we know that Viger's going to look good in this game. I'm interested to see how UMS measures up.
Right.
How they do against Viger. Yes, the big test with St. Paul's to open up the season, but this is one that we're really going to be keeping an eye on. That's exactly why it is our game of the week. We're doing something a little different this week.
Talk about it.
Hustlin' House Sherrick is actually going to be covering our game of the week this week, because we're going to have Dacian Smith up in Auburn, because South Alabama is traveling up to Auburn to take on the Tigers. This is going to be a Sun Belt versus SEC week.
Right.
So Dacian is going to be up there on Friday with a game preview at 4:30. I believe.
Yes.
He's going to have the game preview of that at 4:30, and then he'll also have a preview at 10 as well.
Sure.
So we're doing something a little different. Big Friday Kickoff, it's more than just high school football. The focus is high school football, but we're kind of doing some college stuff too. With South Alabama going up to take on an in-state, team like Auburn, it's a really big deal for the Jags. I think it's going to be an interesting game, to say the least.
Well, I was about to say, you got like a quick 30-second preview for us on that one, or?
I think that. So I went out to South Alabama's practice today because I was getting some footage of 2 guys that just got scholarships through 68 Ventures, who's like the title sponsor of the 68 Ventures Bowl.
Right.
One of them is a local guy actually played at UMS, Keyshawn Woodyard.
Okay.
He got a scholarship, and then Sam Williams funny. His name is Sam Williams. He's
right.
not
Not the coach.
No, not any relation to UMS. He's actually from Pascagoula, Mississippi. Played for Resurrection, and he's a 5th-year senior, and he's just got a scholarship. So I went out there today to focus on that, but I also just getting to be at practice and getting to see the energy and like the environment and how just the way that they look at practice this week. South Alabama looks good. I'll say that. Obviously, Auburn is it improved a ton on their quarterback play, which they really, really needed. I see Auburn winning this game probably pretty easily, but I would love to see South Alabama really hang in there and get some stuff done. We have a lot of local guys that play for the Jags, so it's always nice to see them have some success. And if they won, could you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
If they won this game?
Well, hey, listen, Auburn lost to New Mexico last year, and people thought that they were good. So, I mean, crazier things have happened at Auburn. It's not like they're not known for kind of blowing a game like this in the past. So, you never know. I mean, the South definitely has athletes just based on the location to be able to go and compete in these games, So,
I mean, they hung in with Tulane this past week until kind of like the very end of the game. I mean, we just have it's really not about how you start; it's about how you finish.
That's right.
You have to finish these games, so that's going to be a big thing for South Alabama this week. But like I said, Dacian Smith will have your preview on that one. He'll have a preview on Friday in the morning during Studio 10 with Football Fridays with Joe. He does something with Joe. He'll have your preview of all college football in the morning. He'll have a preview with us at 4:30, and then he'll also have a preview package at 10 when we go on to do the high school football highlights. And then Saturday morning, I will get up very early and I will join him, and we will both be out there shooting highlights. We'll get you some post-game sound, and we will have a full recap for you Saturday during the 9 o'clock news. So excited. It's my first weekend of the season going to travel and cover some college football. It really is one of my favorite things to do. I've always wanted to cover college sports, specifically college football. And since I've started working here, obviously, high school football has grown on me so much, and I love doing it. But when I get to go out and be at Jordan-Hare Stadium or Bryant-Denny Stadium, or I got to go to LSU last season and in Death Valley, I mean, those experiences, you really can't compare them to anything.
Right.
So I'm really excited that me and Dacian get to go up and do that. So yeah, a big game. That's our big college game this week. I just want to mention one thing really, really quick because we talked about it last week. My team beat your team.
Oh my goodness! I knew this is where this was going.
I just had to stick it in there. I just had to.
Listen. Here's the thing. All right, Lane
30
Kiffin,
to 23.
Yes,
it was close,
and it was 10-0 there for a minute.
The beginning of the game, I thought, oh my God, what are we doing? The 2 interceptions. One of them was really, really, really bad. I mean, I'm getting worked up now just talking about it. I was terrified.
We completely mishandled the first half. It amazes me. I never thought that Kentucky would ever be competitive in football. And Mark Stoops, God bless him, he has given us 10-win seasons, consecutive bowl wins, done things that I never thought would be possible. Did the hardest part of the job, which was make Kentucky competitive in these SEC games. But we lose these games in the dumbest ways possible sometimes. And it drives me nuts because he's doing the hard stuff, but he cannot get the easy stuff right. I don't know. It's so frustrating. But Lane Kiffin wanted to embarrass us in that game. And let me tell you something. He was scared at halftime.
I was scared too.
Yes,
because we remember last season, and if we lose this, if we had lost this game to y'all again this season, Ole Miss fans would never have let him live it down.
No,
I just don't.
That loss last year kept you all out of the playoff.
Yes, but I will say this season I think we're improved at every position for the most part, but besides quarterback. I think that if you give me this team I have right now with Jackson Dart, you can't talk to me. You can't tell me nothing. Our O-line is terrible. It's really, really, really bad.
Our defense is very good. I will say that. So
yes, our O-line is not great, and that's me putting it mildly. I'm being nice, but so that was I'm gonna say it, hotty toddy. Thank you.
Well, you
I
got
was
your W, okay? So yeah.
Thank you. I still got to see how the rest of the season goes for my team. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, yours probably not so great, but we play Arkansas this week, and I'm still I don't feel comfortable. So
Yeah.
we'll see about that one. We need to run it back real quick because I need to talk about Saraland at Spanish
sure.
Fort.
Yeah.
Just to wrap this up, because I spoke with Jeff Kelly yesterday because our player of the week, Jamison Roberts, came out of Saraland. Like I've said, he came in after KJ Lacey, who's obviously now the backup for Arch Manning at Texas. And he's really just stepped into this offense and just gotten better and better each week. And I think that when I talked to Jamison yesterday, he said that before this game, Coach Kelly just said, go out there and go play. Just go play your game. And I think he told me that he felt a lot more comfortable because now that he's gotten this opener at home, being in front of your home crowd, like I think it was just the first 2 weeks, he really didn't get the chance to settle in. You've got 2 road games early in the season. And just having that home game, I think that he needed that. I think he needed that home game to just kind of come into his own. You've got your home crowd supporting you. And we know how difficult of a place Saraland is to play. I talked a little bit about his stats earlier. He completed 17 of 21 passes, 269 yards, and then he ran 7 times for 80 yards. He passed for 3 TDs and ran for 2 more, and they beat Gulf Shores 43-14.
Yep.
Just a really, really big win for Saraland. I said this earlier. Deshaun Spencer looked incredible at receiver. I got to catch up with Jeff Kelly because they are going to be taking on Spanish Fort this week at the Hill, another place that's probably one of the most difficult places to play. This is going to be a matchup that is going to dictate seeding in the region. Spanish Fort dropped one to Theodore that I did not expect. I was really high on Spanish Fort.
Right.
So a little interested to see how they measure up against Saraland. Do I think Saraland is going to get the win in this one? Yeah, probably so. But I think it is still going to be an interesting matchup. I think Spanish Fort's going to take some things that they learned from their game with Theodore. And, I mean, obviously Saraland coming off this big win at Gulf Shores. So I just think that there's a lot at stake in this game in 6A. I just think there's a lot at stake. So like I said, got to talk to Jeff Kelly yesterday, and I have a soundbite. I asked him for a little quick preview of this game. So can we?
Yeah, let me cue that up.
Let's cue that up. And the first time we're getting to incorporate some sound. Into the show. So let's hear from Saraland head coach Jeff Kelly.
You know, it's on the road. Any game on the road in our region is always tough. You know, especially going over there. It's always an exciting game, always a big game, much anticipated. I know both sides will be ready to play their best, and it's going to come down to who makes the plays in those crunch time moments and who can get it done. So it'll be a big pivotal game in our region.
All right. Yep, that was Saraland head coach Jeff Kelly. Spoke very highly of his quarterback, Jamison Roberts, yesterday. Just said how he's been waiting his turn, waiting for his chance, waiting for his time, and his time is right now. And so he's going to be going head-to-head with Aiden Schamberger, one of the most experienced quarterbacks. You know, this is his 3rd year being the Toros trigger man. So this is going to be a quarterback duel. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, well, you know, I went back and I watched some of Spanish Fort's season opener against Fairhope last week. And, you know, I'd be curious to go back and watch the Theodore game, too, because one of the things that jumped out to me when I went back and actually was watching, really kind of closely watching some plays from that game is, you know, you remember last year how with E.J. King and Sawyer Wilson, like they had like these physical running backs that they could run up the middle, and with Juju Bonner out at receiver and Aiden at quarterback, you also had some speed that could get out on the outside. And, you know, one of the things I thought watching them going back was they still have all that speed, but I don't know if they got any of that physicality still on offense that they've had the last couple of years that kind of can counterbalance a lot of that speed and finesse that they've got. You know, the defense is still very physical, and Their front seven are very, very good, and they got two of the best cover corners in 6A. But that offense, I worry that they don't have that kind of bruising downhill running back that they can get it to. And, I think it's pretty telling that they moved their speedy receiver to running back, to
Juju.
Yeah, to try and find someone that they like with the ball back there. So,
and he is fast.
He is. Oh,
I've seen it, and not just in
Absolutely.
highlights. Like I went out to their scrimmage, and this is before this was kind of towards the end of the summer, but I was just picking up that I was looking, I was like, wait a second, I was like, who is he? He's flying down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, had smoke coming out of his cleats. So I mean, I've still got some question marks behind Spanish Fort. They just look a little different than I expected them to look.
Yeah.
So far this season.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, that like you said, this game usually it's Saraland as the 1 seed, Spanish Fort is the 2 seed down here, but I think that changes this year, and we talked about the score last season being
42-17.
Yeah, 42-17. But that Saraland team had a ton of talent on it, and that's not to say that this one doesn't. But you're talking about KJ Lacey, a guy that's at Texas. C.D. Gill, who had been in the system there for a long time. Sante McWilliams at running back, who had been their starter for 3 years. Like, a lot of established talent. This Saraland team is a little bit different this year. But I don't know if I see Spanish Fort. Maybe they'll surprise me, but I'm not sure how close this game is really going to be. Now, it being at the Hill does help a lot. I will say that.
I agree. I'm looking at it now. They beat Fairhope 27-7 to open up the season. They lost to Theodore 28-17. I was a little surprised by that final score.
Which Theodore is a team where you need guys like E.J. King and Sawyer Wilson. They can run between the tackles and get physical. And again, they seem very fast and flashy to me, but I'm not sure how much meat is on the bone, for lack of a better phrase. You know what I mean?
I agree. Well, they are coming off a huge win over Baldwin County, 42-7, the final in that one. They're going to try and obviously carry that momentum into this week, going up against a very difficult opponent in Saraland. But they do have the upper hand playing at the Hill. I just think this is going to be a good game.
Yeah.
I hope that it is.
Sure, absolutely.
I think that it could be
Right.
a good game. I think Spanish Fort needs to come out of the gate early.
Yeah.
They cannot if Saraland gets enough of a lead on them early in this game, they can run away with it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That can be a momentum killer. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye on in this matchup. Sorry, we've been a little all over the place. We talked about high school and then went to college and then back to high school. But I just definitely wanted y'all to get to hear from head coach Jeff Kelly. I'm just going to say this really quick. The Saints host the 49ers this weekend on Sunday. Kickoff is at noon. You can watch that game right here on Fox 10. The Saints are coming off that 20-13 loss to the Arizona Cardinals. I got to watch a little bit of this game. Spencer Rattler, obviously at quarterback right now. The Saints don't look terrible, but they don't look good. My biggest takeaway from this game on Sunday was towards the end of the game, there's something the Saints did something good. I can't think about it now. I was watching Red Zone, so I'm really I'm watching a million different games, and the biggest game I watched that day was the Ravens-Bills game. So anyways, so the Saints did something, and then they did had a good play or whatever, and they did a cutaway to the Cardinals fans, and they're dressed up in their full bird costume, and they're just sitting there straight faced. And I don't know why, but I was it cracked me up. It really did. I thought it was hilarious. So I am a Saints fan. It's tough being a Saints fan. They'll probably lose this weekend,
sure.
But faith. I'm trying to have faith in them. Who dat? We'll see. But you can watch that game right here on Fox 10, so that's good. Fantasy football.
Yeah, we both started out 0-1.
I'm big mad.
Yeah, yours is a little more exciting. Well, not exciting. Mine, I guess, was a little more exciting.
Who'd you play this week?
Erica.
Oh, yeah, Braden Cheek's wife.
Yes, and I was up going into the fourth quarter of the Monday night game. She had Aaron Jones, who had done nothing all game, and then he catches the 20-yard touchdown, and she beats me by 6. So that kind of sealed the deal for me. You were kind of out of yours early, and it didn't.
I was so,
really had a
before the
shot.
week started, I mean, I was projected to win by at least 15 to 20 points. Like, I feel like I made the right roster moves, got the good guys in the starting lineup. And our assistant news director, Linda Jones, she beat the brakes off of me. She beat me 189.96 to 122.46. Let me just look at this real quick. Because, okay, her quarterback is Josh Allen, who I wanted.
Right.
And she drafted him. I was like, oh my gosh, so who am I going to get? I had Lamar Jackson. And if you remember Sunday Night Football, like the primetime game was the Ravens and the Bills.
Right.
So like early in the game, Lamar's going off. I'm like, yep. Look, and the name of my team is Sorry Miss Jackson. So I'm like, yeah, all right, Lamar, do your thing, do your thing. Do you know how many points Josh Allen had last week?
I didn't even look at it, no.
I think it was like 38. I don't know how to pull up last week. Fantasy football has a new look this year. So I'm still trying to figure out.
See, I've always played on CBS. So, like, I'm not even familiar with the ESPN layout, which is what we play on.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me see. Let me look at the matchup. So Lamar had 29 points. For a quarterback in fantasy, that's good.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen, he just ran away with it. I want to say he had 38. It's either 34 or 38. That was just such a good game.
Well, and that was kind of the funny part about your all's game was that you each had the quarterback of the Sunday night game that was, like an instant classic.
It was so good. I mean, I
mean,
think it'll go down in history as one of the better games.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown did not do well for me. Mark Andrews at my tight end had 1.5 points. The Texans defense had 8. That's okay. Travis Hunter only had 9 points. On the bench, I had Travis Etienne, who had 18. And then Russell, is his name Russell? Ricky Pearsall. I gotta give my boy Ricky some love.
Right.
I forget his name. He had 14 points. So like I had some guys on the bench that if I had put in would have gave me a better shot, but I still wouldn't have beat her. 189 points in fantasy. And again, that's like, she just had a heck of a week.
Yeah.
Props to her.
I mean, I can't really complain about my roster because I basically didn't pick my roster.
Yeah, because you were on auto. We talked about this last week. I was so mad.
But Bo Nix, man, I mean, like, as soon as I saw him on my team after the auto draft, I was like, oh, heck no. And everyone was like, oh, no, like, he's good. He's the guy out there in Denver. He's the guy. I looked at that game at halftime, and he had, like, -4 points. And I was like, typical former Auburn quarterback. Like, you just can't trust him. I mean, what are you going to do?
He's not terrible, though. He's not a terrible pick.
He was bad last week.
What do you think? Oh, Texans defense is only projected to get 5 points. Should I swap Mark Andrews for Ferguson? Should I put Jake Ferguson in this week? Because Dallas plays the Giants.
That's a good matchup.
But the Ravens play the Browns. Do I have a better chance with Mark Andrews in, or should I put Jake Ferguson in?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that.
Okay, we're going to have to do a debrief of this after we get done. They don't want to sit here and hear about my fantasy lineup all night. Who are you playing this week?
I've got Natester.
I'm playing Erica this week.
Okay.
And she beat you down last week. So
she beat me by 6.
Oh,
and
that's
it was
not bad.
a last-second touchdown from Aaron Jones.
I think I'm projected to win by a lot right now, but she's probably going to make some roster moves. Oh, George Kittle's on injured reserve, so she's got to sub him out.
Yeah.
So there's still a chance for her. That's okay. I'm very competitive. I hate losing. I mean, I literally went up to Linda as soon as I got in on Tuesday, and I was like, did you have to beat me that bad? Did you really have to do me like that?
Right.
It's also embarrassing when the sports director gets beat by the assistant news director.
Well, yeah, in a way, I guess.
In a way? No, it's embarrassing. I'm supposed to beat everybody.
You're supposed to be the expert, I guess.
Well,
you're supposed to be the sports guru.
I should have deferred. I should have gotten some help on my draft, and I did not, and that's my mistake. So yeah, I made my bed. I got to lay in it. I'm gonna have to ride this one out through the rest of the season and just take it on.
Yeah.
Take it as it comes. And yeah, that's all I've got for fantasy.
Yeah.
So, episode 4, we've made it through it,
Yeah.
rolling right along here in the season. I feel like it's flying by.
It is.
It really is.
It
I feel
is.
like next time we look up, we're going to be halfway through it, and then before you know it, we'll be in the playoffs. And this season's flying by more than any other season. But I think
Sure feels like it.
We're having an absolute blast. Definitely
Yeah.
looking forward to going to Citronelle this week. Dacian's going to be up in Auburn. Hustlin' Hal's got our game of the week. I mean, we're going to have just another great week of
Yeah.
Big Friday kickoff.
Yeah, and you know one game we forgot to mention, I guess, that we can just briefly shout out, Jackson Baker.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Baker at Jackson.
Yes.
That's going to be a really good one. It
Yes.
always is every year. I was really hoping that they moved it to Thursday so
Right.
that way we could get someone out there. We
Yep.
still might.
Yep.
I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
But yeah.
There's a couple other ones that I put on the schedule that were potential good ones.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think this is just going to be another great Friday. We're definitely looking forward to it. We do have one Thursday game, Washington County at Chickasaw.
Yep.
So yep, Dacian Smith is going to be out there for that one. We'll have all the highlights in that one tomorrow night. And yeah, another week down.
Another week in the books.
I mean, it's just we're cooking with gas out here,
Yeah,
Robert.
we're trying.
We're cooking with gas. So, anyways, thanks so much for tuning in to the Big Friday Kickoff podcast. I'm Emily Cochran. He's Robert Ristaneo, and we will see you guys next week.